Abigail Cook, chemistry, Wade Hampton High School. I try to initially establish an open, collaborative, student-centered environment. I let them have a voice, and it creates an environment where risk-taking is encouraged. And we also do a lot of collaborative activities where they work with each other, so they get to know one another pretty well by the end of the year, and they get to know each other's strengths and weaknesses and kind of feed off one another to improve their own weaknesses. And they learn a lot from each other, and I learn a lot from them too, just by watching them work with one another. And it's amazing to watch them in a group setting, and they can pick out each other's strengths and use it for the better of the whole. And by the end of the year, we support each other both inside and outside of the classroom.
Matt Critell, kindergarten teacher, Shoals School. The greatest thing of being Patch Adams in a classroom and being that animated person that wears pink shirts and bright neon shirts and bright orange shirts, the kids see me being my person. You know, you're not going to see many men teaching kindergarten. You're not going to see many men wearing hot pink shirts, and you're definitely not going to see a man dancing around the room going ooh, 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 because that's just not a normal thing that you see, but that's me. You know, covering a simple thing as context clues, they're using pictures in the room and answering a word that fills in a sentence in kindergarten. But they're loving it, they're doing it, and they smile. Which to me, a smile on a face of a child that's actually learned something midway through kindergarten, first week of kindergarten, end of kindergarten, is worth more than anything in the world.
Yes! Jillian Grimsley, 5th grade, Stone Academy. I try to integrate the arts as often as possible into the 5th grade curriculum because I think it promotes the highest level of student engagement. When we do something like sing songs as a class, things like Lean on Me or You've Got a Friend or Here Comes the Sun, positive, happy songs, my students and I come together as a class, and we know that we have a common purpose and a common spirit of purpose, and so that really helps us to come together when we sing. Another way that I integrate the arts into our classroom is by using a strategy called tableau. It's a French word for picture, and students are tasked with creating a frozen picture with their bodies. They work in small groups of 3 to 4, and they're physically engaged as they try to represent a concept, anything as concrete as an ice cream cone to something abstract like the cause of World War I. They're working together and they're talking through problems. They're cooperating and collaborating, which is really important for our workplace and for preparing them for the 21st century work environment that they're going to face.
Jessica Jackson, EMD Self-Contained, West Greenville School. I have to remain calm because that's what my students need the most, really, is that sense of structure and that sense of peace, because a lot of times their world, either because of their disabilities or because of other things that they experience, is chaos. And so I have to be the one thing, and school has to be definitely the one place that there is that peace and there is that comfort and that feeling of safety. I've made them realize that if someone does something well, if someone is celebrating something that's important to them, then it's our job as a class, almost as a family, to celebrate those things. Also, we work on our difficulties together. Everyone in the class knows everyone else's behavior goal for the year, and it's so enjoyable to look out and to see the students very nicely redirecting each other.
Brian Morgan, Art, Duncan Chapel Elementary. I'm a first-generation college graduate, so the expectation of going to college was not there, but my parents really pushed for it. Even though they didn't have any knowledge about what college was, they knew that it would make my life much better. Being an art teacher in elementary school is great because you get that freedom to kind of follow your muse, but also you get to teach the kids really cool things. And that's where my project-based approach starts, is we learn about an artist, and it may take 5 to 8 class periods to complete a work of art. But when they leave that 5 to 8 class periods, they're going to have a really great looking work of art. And it's going to be a much more enriching experience because we delve deep into the artist's history, we talk about works of art, and the kids are exposed to different works of art that this artist did.
Sara Newell, 5th grade language arts, Charlestown Center at Sterling School. We use iPads, which are phenomenal. We, as part of the grant through Furman, we received access to 3 iPads at first, and then we've got another 5 that came in. Our principal jumped on board, and so now we're up to 9 at a time in the classroom. And the easy access to technology, the easy access to information really helps with that inquiry-based learning, so that when kids ask a question, I just toss them the iPad and they can instantly find out. I also use Tableau, all kinds of art integration, visual art, performing art, music. With our Harlem Renaissance projects, we did a big visual art piece. Allowing kids to respond in a way that they really felt was authentic was something that was important to me, and so while it might be messy or loud, I try to use all kinds of methods to get kids engaged and excited about what they're learning.
Will Ragland, drama, Woodmont High School. Being in a play forces you to develop good work ethic, forces you to develop skills that will be beneficial to you in any form of work that you choose after high school or beyond. It teaches them to show up on time, to show up at all. It teaches them how to communicate effectively, how to collaborate with others, working on a team towards a common goal. And they know they're going to be held accountable. It's not like a normal test, but when you take that test on opening night, you've got 600 people seeing it. So if you fail, the stakes are much higher, and you don't want to fail. They want to make an A++, and they want to take that test again.
Rex Smith, 6th grade science, League Academy. What I do is I try to incorporate as much hands-on science as I can into my curriculum. I try to make it as relevant to the lives that these students are living every single day, and experiences that I have had as both a child, as a young adult, or as a teacher. I always wanted to touch whatever had been there. If it was something that had flown in space, I wanted to touch it. If it was something that was brought from deep in the sea, I wanted to touch it. I wanted to experience that firsthand. And so what I try to do with my classroom and with my teaching, I try to bring that alive for all of my students.
Jennifer Valenti, Spanish, Northwood Middle School. I teach middle school, and so interesting is a key factor in keeping kids engaged. And so as kids walk in, I teach a subject area that fortunately they're naturally curious about anyways at that age. So Spanish is something not a lot of them have had introduction to. A few have had some exposure. For me, my biggest thing is to make sure they learn something new every day. But I think it's just really important for kids, especially at like 14 and 13, that they're interested and they're engaged. If you can keep a kid engaged and they know that you're really interested in them and who they are, and I think by nature, almost by default, they become naturally curious about what you have to teach them. I think if the kids can sense your enjoyment or interest in the subject matter, and if you've built relationships with them, and if they respect you, and if they trust you, that they'll kind of be along for the ride.
Sherryan, Yarbrough, kindergarten, Blythe Academy of Languages. I've been working in the field of education in a lot of different settings for many, many years, and I hope that my greatest contribution has been the relationships that I've built with children and with families. Recently, one of my students wrote me a note in kindergarten writing that said, "Mrs. Yarbrough, I'm so glad, excited that we have this time together to learn." And her note helped me to remember that the time I have with each child is a gift. It is an exciting time, and it is a time to treasure.